Hey, what's up? Mike D here, cyberspaceyourplace.com and reputationdomination.ninja. And this is another episode of Mike D's Marketing Mix. All right, so as usual, the whiteboard's behind me just to kind of get me thinking about what I'm going to talk about with you today. Three things. I'm going to try to blow through them real fast. One is I want to tell you what my favorite prank was when I was a kid. Around 12, 13 years old, I used to just love doing this. Also, this thing I've noticed, this 180 mindset, and finally, a little question about competition. All right, so let's get to it. When I was a kid, my favorite prank was to walk around my neighborhood and have a remote control in my hand. Now, here's what made this possible. So I'm going back to like 91, 92. I was 11, 12 years old. And everyone in the neighborhood, it was in South Philadelphia, so all the houses were close together, like we call them row homes, right? They're all close together, very dense, tons of people within a certain amount of space. Anyway, we all had the same cable, right? Greater Media Cable, which was, I'm sure, swallowed up by Comcast at some point. Anyway, we all had the same remote controls. They were called Tocom remotes. I remember they were just a square, had all the numbers on them. And my parents had two cable hookups, right? One we had the upstairs living room, and then we had the den, so there's two cable hookups. So I'd snag one of the remotes out of the house, and I would go walk through the neighborhood, and I would look for little openings in the curtains or the window, whatever, and I would just get right there, and I would change the channel on an unsuspecting TV viewer, okay? Funny stuff. And I used to do this all the time. And a couple times actually stand out. Once I think a woman probably got her so many times, and then eventually she had the cable company come out, and they just couldn't figure out why the box kept changing. So I think they advised her to keep her shades closed, because eventually her shades were closed. There wasn't even an inch anymore. You couldn't get in. And then there was another time I stumbled upon this guy. I snuck onto his porch. He was watching TV in his living room. And he must have had like an illegal cable hookup, right? I don't even remember those things where you get every channel. But anyway, hard to do that today. So he must have been in his late 20s, single guy. And he obviously didn't know I was there. I just kind of snuck and I changed the channel a couple times. And I kept flipping. And then eventually I came across the History channel. Use your imagination. And then I flipped it off of there. And then he flipped it back to the History channel. So kind of funny. So anyway, here's the lesson in this story. One is, what made that possible? What made that possible back then is two things. One, everybody had the same box. There was no DirecTV. There was no dish. There wasn't all these options, all these different remotes and everything. Everything was the same. All the attention was the same. The attention was on that television, right? So we were limited in what we paid attention to. There was no smartphones with hundreds of apps on them and Gmail and Facebook and everything like that eats up our attention. There wasn't social media and 10, 15 different social media platforms that eat up attention. There wasn't 1,000 channels like there are today. So the point is, things have changed drastically. And what was that? 20 years ago I did that prank, or more than that. Things have changed drastically, and the most important commodity is that attention. So a couple of things, one is you have to find your little opening, okay? You have to find your opening, just like I found that opening in the window. I found that opening to change the channel. You have to find your openings actually for your marketing, because it's easier to reach your consumer and whether it's business to business, consumer market, but it's harder to get their attention because there are so many options. You just have to be strategic. I often advise focus your energy. Facebook is the #1 social media platform, especially if you're in consumer market. It's a slam dunk, but it's also possible in business to business if you want to use remarketing campaigns. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that. And I say pay attention to your online reputation, pay attention to your website, email marketing, and obviously we love mobile apps because we build those things for clients. So just think about the different media channels you want to use. Focus your energy, look for your openings, all right? If you haven't gotten it already, be sure you find my free ebook that I was offering every one of our viewers, so check that out. And I'd love your comments below. All right, on to the next topic, all right? We're kind of zoom through this real quick because I know your attention span is less than a goldfish. So if you've been with me for more than 9 seconds, amen, you're doing good. Other thing I want to talk about is real quick, this total, and I did a blog post on this total 180 mindset, it's crazy. I see situations where the website, the online marketing is responsible for a good flow of business. The website, there's this pride of ownership that it has to be awesome. And this is across all industries, by the way, all industries. There's this mindset that this has to be awesome. We have to have a nice suit on, a nice dress. This represents us. And it's very important, and it also, brings leads to our business because we use it strategically. And then there's this other side, this flip side of total apathy. The website is horrible, it's crappy. It would be like walking into a place where, okay, Mike, no big deal, you're wearing a collared shirt here from Izod, whatever. This is somewhat informal, but let's just say I had to go to a place where I needed a suit and tie, and I showed up with this, wearing this. Totally off, right? Totally inaccurate of what I'm supposed to be putting out there. So again, I see these horrible websites and everything like that. And then, but the worst part is there's a mindset like it doesn't matter. I don't care. And you know what? Be careful because it is very dangerous. Because there are certain businesses where online marketing, websites, reputation, reviews doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's not going to affect. I always use Pat Steaks or Geno's Steaks as an example. Being from South Philly, they're going to have lines around the corner for those cheesesteaks no matter what. They can have horrible reviews. Actually, some of them do. They can have crappy websites. Their business is going to be just fine. But there are a lot of cases where bad reviews or a bad online presence actually hurts the business. But again, if the attitude is usually out of ignorance or arrogance of total apathy, it is what it is. Figure out what side of the coin you're on. If you're watching this, you're probably leaning toward the mindset of it's very important or it's important. But make no mistake about it. Two things. There are some businesses where none of this applies. And there are cases where, unfortunately, people think it doesn't apply, but it actually really hurts them. And it's hard for them to actually even tell because there's no tracking. All right, so next part, I want to talk a little bit about competition. Sorry, I've been battling a little scratchy throat. I hear it all the time, the world is competitive. I mean, I live in a very competitive business, but you know what? I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way because it's good. Competition is a good thing. And you know what? I think in our world, in the U.S., most of our clients are based in the United States. I think it's always been this way. I think we've always been competitive. Maybe there's been some mindset changes where people are scared of competition. But here's what I do know. I do know that while the playing field has always been, the game has always been competitive. We've always been playing a competitive business game. With a lot of options, there's a lot of plumbers, a lot of restaurants, a lot of fitness studios, a lot of martial arts. There's a lot of options, right? We've always been playing that game. What has changed is the field. What has changed is the equipment. So for instance, now someone could find a Google listing, they can find a Yelp listing, they can read reviews in seconds. If you're in home services, they can find a Houzz, Home Advisor, whatever. They can find all these different things about different businesses in one spot with not a lot of effort on their part. They can see all the competition. Someone can put out there on Facebook, what do you think is the best, blah, 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 and they're going to get the opinions, right? Everybody has opinions of all their friends instantly. Whereas if they wanted 20 years ago, if they wanted to get the opinions of all their friends, they had to go through the pain of asking them or calling them, right? Okay, so that's the deal. It's just that the playing field is different, same game, different field, and the equipment is different. Folks have access to all these different things, mobile and online reviews, and there's just tons of things. So I don't think we're in any more of a competitive world than we were, say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where I wasn't nowhere near in business. I just think the field has changed and the equipment that we can use has changed. So we just have to adapt. That keyword, adapt. No excuses for not adapting because as a species, we've survived for years. Why? Because we have the ability to adapt. We have adapted. And when we stop, a little more beyond this marketing mix thing, right? But when the human beings are unable to adapt, that's when it ends. That's when it's over. So now dial that back a little bit. That's a very, very metaphysical, metaphorical, whatever you want to call it. Dial it back. Your business, my business, we have to adapt. We have to make changes because the game is the same, but the field, the equipment is all different. All right, it's Mike D from Mike D's Marketing Mix. Make sure you check us out at cyberspaceisyourplace.com or reputationdomination.ninja. Those are our two primary websites. I think you'll find there's a lot of cool things that we can help you out with. And if you have a question or a comment or If you don't like what I'm saying, comment below. You're not going to offend me. I have very thick skin. If you like what I'm saying, comment below. I'd love to hear you. I'd love to interact with you. All right, it's Mike D from Mike D's Marketing Mix, and I guess we'll see you around on another video here and there. Talk to you soon.